Hi friends, welcome to my channel Renu's Chat and Talk. If you are new, please do subscribe to my channel, like, comment and share my videos with your friends and family. We continue modal verbs and today we do would. We completed can, could, may, might, should, must, will, shall, isn't it? And today we do would. Would. First of all, what are the uses of wood? When do we use this wood? First and foremost thing is past form of will, but only in indirect speech. When you talk about it in reported speech, then for future, simple future, it changes into then in such cases, if you want to change that, then we use would. Examples, you just look at these examples. He said to his friends, my parents will come tomorrow. He said to his friends, my parents will come tomorrow. Then in reported speech, how do you use? He told his friends that his parents would come, that his parents would come the next day. Remaining all rules, now I am not talking about, I am just showing how this will changes into would. Only that usage of would, in such cases we use would. I'm talking about that because in detail we do when I teach direct indirect speech. Okay. Now for time being we do will come changes it to would come when you are changing from direct speech to indirect speech. Okay. She said that she would buy some vegetables. She said that she would teach a lesson. In all such cases, whenever you want to change, will changes into would in indirect speech. And even not only that, in past, like I knew he would win the match. I knew he would win the match. I thought it would rain. I thought it would rain. In such cases also, we use this would, okay, to express the past form. Okay, even in conditionals also we use conditional clauses. Already will, when I talked about will also I showed how do we use in first condition, the usage of will in first condition. Whereas in same if clause, second and third conditional clauses, we use again would. How? Now I am going to explain that. Take up type 2 conditional clause, like where you talk about the past action. In such cases also we use this would, like if you worked hard you would. It's an, actually speaking, it's an unreal situation or just an imaginary situation. In such cases we use would. If I worked hard I would pass, or if you worked hard you would pass. Okay, in such cases it, it's only an imagination, or it's an not reality, unreal thing, it did not happen but you just imagine that. Like that, whenever you use in such cases also if clause we do in detail, but now you just understand the way we are using would in conditional clauses also. That is only the thing you remember. Rest of all we I explained when I do if clause. But so in second conditional clause, type 2 condition, like when past is used in the subordinate clause and in the main clause we use would. If you worked hard, you would pass. You would, or they would win. If they played well, they would win. If you attended these classes regularly, you would definitely get good marks. If you attended these classes, you would get good marks or you would get good score. If you attended, would get. Okay, like that. Then we continue. Next, If I had your number, I would call. I had your number, simple past, I would call you. Like that, conditional past we have to use. Okay, like similarly, an imagination. If I were, this if I were a bird, that's an imagination. If I were a bird, I would fly. If I were a bird, if in such cases, if I were imagination also, you have to use would only. If I were rich, but after I, in these cases, you have to use all the time were only. If I were rich, I would buy a farmhouse. If I were a millionaire, I would donate some 1 crore rupees to charity. I would donate money to charity, large sums of money to charity. In such cases also, in so conditional type 2 also, we this is also in type 2 only, but it's an imaginary situations. In such cases also we use would. And type 3 conditional clause, here in this case it talks about this is unreal and just imagination, whereas type 3 is impossible condition, or we also say unfulfilled. In many actually modal verbs we have seen this model structure, isn't it? Would plus have plus v3, unfulfilled desires in all the cases. Could plus have plus v3, or must plus have plus v3, or should plus have plus v3. In all those cases they talk about past and unfulfilled obligations, unfulfilled conditions. We have say unfulfilled desires and all. So here also the same situation, type 3. It is an impossible conditional clause, or we say that it is an unfulfilled conditional clause. And in such cases, how do we use? What is the usage? If you had invited me, here in this case, not simple past, but we used perfect tense, past perfect tense. If you had invited me, I would have attended the party. You did not invite me, I did not attend the party. That is the meaning of this. You did not invite, and I did not attend the party. So if you had invited me, I would have attended the party. So, but that those things did not take place at all. Those things did not happen at all. Okay, if I had known the answer, I would have written in the exam. But I did not know, I did not write. Okay, if I had known the answer, I would have written. Would plus have plus V3. If I had, if you had worked hard, you would have passed the examination. You did not work hard and you did not pass the examination. So type 3 condition, the usage is like this, and it expresses the unfulfilled conditions or some impossible situations. Okay, there's no possibility at all. And what's the next usage? Next we do third one. Case of polite requests and offers also we use would, but there also in that modal verb could also for polite request. Could you please, isn't it? Here also we use the modal verb. Would also we use for polite request and offer. How do we use, and in what way we use them? We just see. You go to your friend and you want to take his bike. Then how do you ask? Would you lend me your bike? Would you lend me your bike? It is also a polite request. Would you lend me your bike? Okay, like that, politely ask your a friend, isn't it? Would you please close the door? Would you please close the door? Would you please open the door? Then these two, actually, this is a common thing. Okay, but there are other two ways of asking also. Those two are only in case of would we use those two. How in politely, how do we ask using would only? But two ways are there. Would you mind? Listen carefully. Would you mind closing the door? Would you mind closing the door or window? After mind, would you mind after compulsorily ing form you have to use. Would you mind closing the door? So very polite request. But here you have to use would you mind? Would you mind closing the window? Would you please close the door? That is also there. Would you mind closing the door? Would you mind? Please don't mind. Please close the door. So in such cases, polite request. Would you mind closing the door? But here, whenever you use mind, in form you have to add, that is the thing you have to remember, but it is also a polite request, whereas in there in could we can't use like this, only in would it is possible. Would you mind closing the door? Would you mind carrying this luggage? Would you mind carrying my luggage or carrying this bag? Do you mind anything? You don't mind, huh? In such cases we use this would. And also, would you like, another thing we have to, another expression in this is would you like to. This is also when like is always followed by infinite 2 plus verb. Okay, 2 plus v1 only. Would you like to have a cup of coffee? Would you like to have, whenever you go to a restaurant, immediately the person, the manager comes with a notepad, isn't it? Immediately he comes to your table and ask, what is the first question he will ask you? Would you like to have plain water or the chilled water or cool water? Isn't it? First question. Would you like to have any snacks? Would you like to have any starters? Isn't it? The first question. Whenever you go to restaurants, you find that. So that is, would you like? It's a very polite request. Would you like? But after, whenever you write like, immediately 2 plus B1. Infinitive you have to use 2 plus B1. Would you like to have a cup of coffee? Would you like to play cricket? Would you like to wear this sari? Would you like to wear this sari? Okay, in such cases we use. And uh, okay, for mind after immediately, inform, and like after, would you like after 2 plus verb. This you have to remember. These two we use only in case of would, whereas these two in could we didn't use, isn't it? That is also a polite request. Could you please tell me the way to station? Could you do please? Could you do this for me? That is also a polite request. Whereas in would we use these two expressions are only in case of would you mind and would you like 2 plus something. So these two are very important related to would. And another one is also there's some preference. Would you like to have tea or coffee? Would you which one you prefer? Some preferences also in such case also would you use would you like to have or would you like to drink tea or coffee? Which one you prefer? Okay. In such cases, how do you respond? I would rather drink coffee than tea. I would rather. This is another expression related to would. I would rather drink coffee. Whenever you use would rather, definitely again than you have to use. I would rather drink coffee than tea. This actually talks about the preference, choice. Which one you prefer, tea or coffee? I would prefer this than this. In order to tell that, you are using this expression. I would rather drink coffee than tea. Compulsorily, whenever you use would rather, the other one is than. I would rather go by car than by bus. I would rather go by car than by bus. I would rather stay at home than go for outing. I don't like to go out. So I would rather stay at home than go out. I would prefer to stay at home. That is the ultimate thing is it talks about the preference. Which one you like? I like this one. In order to say that, how do you use would rather? I would rather drink coffee than tea. I would rather go by car than by bus. I would rather stay at home rather go out. These are the other thing related to would. So this is all about would, and once again I tell you, when do we use would? First of all, past form of will, but only in indirect speech, especially when you change them into simple future into indirect speech, then we take the help of would, and also would in two conditionals, the type 2 and type 3, imaginary situations and unreal situations, as well uh, unfulfilled and impossible situations. We use would plus v1 and would plus have plus v3 we use there. It's so conditional clauses. And again, would we use for polite requests and polite offers. We use would you like to have and would you mind, or would you lend me your bike, and like requesting polite requests. In such cases also we use would. So we continue modal verbs in next video also. Thank you for watching my video.